Prepare to delve into the depths of a mystery that echoes coldly from the dark lands of Russia. In 2011, reality twisted, revealing an event so grim that it defies sanity itself. Violated graves, a trail of inexplicable desecration that left the authorities at a dead end. Amid this scene of despair, a voice emerged, laden with a disturbing and incomprehensible logic. "You abandoned them. I merely took them in." Feel the weight of the inexplicable, the anguish of an enigma that drags through the corridors of time. This video unravels the layers of a case that questions the very essence of humanity. What lies hidden behind such obscurity? How far can the human mind deviate from the light? Unravel this dark chapter of history with us. If you seek answers in the shadows, if a dark curiosity calls to you, this is your place. Have you ever wondered, what dark force guided this man's steps through the cold nights? What deep emptiness in his soul led him to such an act of profane despair? Don't let this mystery remain in the shadows. Watch until the end and share your theories in the comments. Your insight may be the missing piece in this macabre puzzle. Hello everyone, welcome to the True Crime Files Investigations channel. If you are a lover of real criminal stories, get ready for an exciting marathon. Every week, we will explore shocking and remarkable cases, the most complex and intriguing ones, with an in-depth analysis of the details and motivations behind each event, which leads us to question human nature. Subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any new videos, and ensure you're always up to date with our exclusive content. Leave your like to strengthen our community and motivate me to bring more and more impactful and unprecedented stories. Get ready to discover the backstage of the crime world, learn about the failures of the judicial system and the stories of victims fighting for justice. Welcome to an investigative and emotional journey. I count on you on this journey. The truth is about to be revealed. So, fasten your seatbelts, because the investigation begins now. Prepare to brace yourself for an account that will send chills down your spine and shake you to your core. In 2011, a dark and unbelievable event came to light in Russia. That year, an unsettling phenomenon began to spread: the systematic looting of graves. Russian authorities found themselves completely perplexed, unable to decipher the reason behind this wave of desecrations. Week after week, more graves were found violated, with no apparent link between the cases. Amid this macabre scene, a phrase uttered by a man named Anatoly Moskvin would echo, laden with a disturbing logic. "You left your girls out in the cold, so I took them to my home and gave them shelter." As the number of violated graves reached an alarming level, the police, frustrated and seeking answers, decided to seek the vast experience of a professor with a doctorate in Celtic studies and a deep knowledge of local cemeteries. This expert was none other than Anatoly Moskvin. Initially, he collaborated with the investigation, analyzing the crime scenes. However, fate had a sinister twist in store. One day, the police approached him at his own residence, catching him carrying a bag containing bones removed from a cemetery. At first, suspicion did not fall on him. After all, Anatoly was a respected historian. Little did the police know the unimaginable horror they were about to uncover. What initially seemed to be a case of simple grave desecration would transform into something deeply disturbing and beyond the darkest imagination. The scene that unfolded before the police officer's eyes was blood-curdling. Several life-size dolls, in seemingly elegant attire, were scattered throughout the apartment. On the sofa, on the chairs, and even on the floor. The peculiar and unpleasant odor, along with the strange appearance of the dolls, intensified the investigators' curiosity. Upon examining them closely, the terrifying truth came to light. The apartment was filled with shelves crammed with books, colorful children's clothing, and toys. It was precisely these children's items that raised a red flag in the minds of the police. Why would a single man with no children possess such belongings? The shocking revelation followed. Those were not ordinary dolls, but something infinitely darker and more horrifying. In fact, they were the mummified bodies of girls. The sight was repulsive and frightening. Numerous dolls, dressed in different outfits, could be observed everywhere. In the hallway of his house, some displayed wedding dresses, adorned with vibrant colors. On others, Anatoly had applied lipstick and makeup in a grotesque attempt to make them appear alive. For over a decade, Anatoly Moskvin immersed himself in a macabre routine, visiting cemeteries at night, unearthing the mortal remains of girls, taking them to his home, and subjecting them to terrible modifications. In his attempts, the bodies that could not be altered were returned to their graves. Moskvin harbored a morbid obsession with these bodies, even rubbing them with salt and baking soda. Once dry, he stuffed them with rags and dressed them in children's clothes. The chilling details of his secret pastime finally came to light. He had even fashioned wax masks for the dolls and painted their faces with nail polish. In his disturbing confession, he admitted that, on certain occasions, he would dress the dolls to have tea or celebrate their birthdays. He even mentioned installing rudimentary mechanisms to make them talk, seeking an even greater resemblance to life. Despite everything, he insisted that he had not had any sexual contact with his dolls, claiming only to have tried to give them the wonderful gift of eternal life. Surprisingly, no one who knew Anatoly had noticed any unusual behavior. He was described as a quiet individual who did not drink, smoke, or use drugs. In the eyes of others, he was just a reserved man. In the course of the investigation, Anatoly was questioned about his macabre fascination with the dolls. It was then that he shared a traumatic experience from his adolescence. At the age of 13, he lost a very dear friend named Natalia, who was only 11 years old. He had attended her funeral and reluctantly was forced to give her a farewell kiss. This experience, according to him, deeply affected him, leaving lasting psychological scars. The dark moment culminated when the deceased girl's mother placed a ring on Anatoly's finger, a symbol of union with her daughter, which sparked in him an obsessive interest in funeral ceremonies and rituals. This was the turning point, the beginning of his morbid fascination with death. The analysis of his computer revealed the searches he had conducted, including detailed instructions on how to transform unearthed bodies into dolls. He kept meticulous photographic records of all the graves he looted, with the aim of identifying them later. Curiously, before the police managed to identify the bodies, they received a call from a woman who had witnessed the scene in Anatoly's apartment and recognized one of the dolls. It was Olga, her 10-year-old daughter, who had passed away a year earlier. Anatoly Moskvin stated that he felt deep pity for the dead children and believed that they could be brought back to life through science and black magic. He explained that he placed their bodies inside the dolls to give them a better appearance, as their bodies were weakened and wrinkled. In this way, he believed he was restoring them to life. He also stated that he had always wanted to have children and never could, explaining that he treated the dolls as his own daughters, singing lullabies, watching cartoons with them, and even celebrating their birthdays. After a psychiatric evaluation, Anatoly was diagnosed with schizophrenia, which led the court to declare him legally insane, ordering his confinement in a psychiatric clinic. Before the end of the trial, he left a disturbing message for the girl's parents, repeating his initial words, "You left your daughters out in the cold, so I took them to my home and gave them shelter." The crimes of Anatoly Moskvin shocked and outraged the entire Russian nation. The families of the victims were devastated, having to bury their daughters for a second time, reliving the pain of loss in an unimaginable way. Olga's mother expressed her deep anguish. "This creature brought fear and panic into my life. I still cannot believe the sick perversity of this man. My daughter lived with him for a time, and I have had her since she was born." Before the court, Anatoly admitted to desecrating and kidnapping the bodies of 44 girls, aged between 3 and 12 years old. Psychiatrists recommended that, at some point, he may be able to receive treatment at home. Although he may be released under certain conditions, his house will forever be known as the terrifying House of Terror Dolls. He became known by the sinister nickname, the Doll Maker of Nizhny Novgorod. Without a doubt, this case remains one of the most disturbing and difficult to comprehend. Depending on the perspective, some may not consider it so impactful, but the idea of a person living among corpses is, for many, something terrifying, disturbing, and incredibly hard to believe. Thank you so much for watching this story. Your presence and support are essential for me to continue creating quality content. So, if you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any new episodes. Your subscription and comments are fundamental for me to keep bringing quality content. Leave your opinion in the comments, always with respect for the victims, and together let's build an even better community. Thank you so much for following my work, and I'll see you in the next episode.